The way it works is quantum healing hypnosis technique. Dolores Cannon found that through her technique that she developed over the years, that she was visiting past lives. Now, she's worked this out over a long period of time, but she has then packaged that into a technique that she was teaching other people to use to also make contact with the subconscious, to bring through past lives and work out how they are relevant to where people are at the moment, because we have brought baggage with us from past lives, and sometimes we have elements that we don't understand, and it just doesn't make any sense. And then people who are open to these sort of techniques can be regressed to past lives where they have actually experienced some sort of trauma and it has been carried over into this life. So what the technique allows you to do is just to even view that past life and see what has happened. And just the understanding sometimes is enough for people to go, oh, well, there was never anything I was going to do about that in this life. If I hadn't have connected those dots, I would have been searching forever, So just understanding where that has come from helps people let go of it, and move on.
So it's like inner child sort of work that a lot of people are doing, going back to childhood, but you go back further, because obviously everything's energy, and energy attachments can be taken over lives. Yeah. So do you think, just as a question, like with past lives, do we, in your opinion, do we come back in our family lines? Like as like literally, are our ancestors our past lives, or is it completely random?
It is determined by you yourself, the soul. You have certain things that you would like to achieve in your forthcoming life. Let's just say we are souls on the soul plane, ready to incarnate. We already understand where we are coming from, our collective journey, what we would like to look at in the next life. And so that may involve a few people that you've dealt with in the past, that you've lived with in the past, that who may have been family in the past. And so you may have the opportunity of incarnating with those people again to live together, work together, resolve things, any number of issues may come up that you want to look at. And so this is where, we do bring some of that with us. We do bring some past life issues with us to deal with, but we don't bring them all. It would just be overwhelming because some of us have been around for a long time and you just can't get it all done in one life.
Yeah, so it's more we sort of choose to bring the traits or whatever from past lives into this life that we can either deal with or that can help us or whatever, and the rest get left for the next life.
Basically, yeah, that's my understanding through my experience. So I've done a lot of research into the spiritual topics, the spiritual aspects of life, long before I discovered Dolores's technique. So I had a good grasp of those concepts, and this is a practical application now where we can actually go and find evidence of these things that previously had been just research,
Have you ever actually done a past life regression and then found any physical evidence to sort of align with what you've found? just as a question from me, being history.
That's a great question because I had also thought of those, and especially when I was researching Dolores's work, I thought, okay, well, if there are these people who have lived these past lives, surely she must have done a regression that has happened recent enough for her to be able to research those details, because they would be in their records. And sure enough, she has done. I haven't personally, because the people I've regressed, and I've probably done about 200 regressions.
Wow.
A lot of people, they go quite a way back, and the way it works is the session is guided to go to the most appropriate time and place.
Yep.
And so that is going to go wherever the subconscious needs to go to show that person what it is that is going to remove these blockages in their life, or whatever it is that they need to move forward. And so it hasn't ever come about that, the lifetime I just lived previously, went wrong here and there. Sometimes, well, what I've found, mostly it's gone quite a way back. And this is where we've uncovered past lives in ancient Egypt, ancient Greece, and then also have spoken with beings from other dimensions. And really, you never know where you're going to end up. And that was the great thing about Dolores's course. She said something basically towards the end where it was like, take this technique, exploring, expand on it, make it your own, have a look around. You never know who you're going to bump into. So we have done, we just go to random places now. Like my wife and I will use this technique, fairly regularly, just to have a look around, see where we're up to, what's playing out, and whichever consciousness may like to come through and have half an hour just have a chat,
Yeah, right. Very interesting. So do you do the past life regressions as well, do you? And Jolene, your partner, does mainly, like, is this remote viewing? Like, do you actually see what they're seeing, or are you just sort of listening to their story of what they're seeing?
Yeah, that's right. So the way it works is the client, or in most cases now when we do a regression, it's my wife. She'll just lie back on the couch, get comfortable. I'll take her through a light relaxation exercise. And then normally with the Dolores Cannon method, you'd read through a script to take them through to get to where you need to go. So because we're well practiced in this now, by the time we get to the end of the relaxation, she's there already.
Yeah. And
we're ready to go. And so we just drop in and chat with whoever happens to be about at the time.
Wow. That sounds cool. I'm still working on my superpowers. So have you ever found people without any past lives?
No, I haven't.
No.
It's one of those things as well. It's like sometimes you go into places and it's not really clear whether it's past life or not. And so this is how we've stumbled across parallel dimensions.
Yeah. As far as past lives on Earth, we're talking about. So yeah.
Yes, exactly. So there have been obvious past lives, and then on other occasions, it seems like we're missing something. It's like there's more to this here. What is it? And then because this happened actually with the book that we wrote, it was like we stumbled across this amazing story and we were like, wow, it's full of spiritual wisdoms. We need to document this. And so what we did is, after this had come through, we go, we got to start from scratch. We got to start from the beginning.
Oh, you're there, you're just breaking up a little bit.
Here. And I found about halfway through is that it turned out to be a parallel dimension.
Yeah, because because through my life, no one has ever wanted to read me. Like all these people, oh, I do tarot. And I'm like, oh, give me a reading. And they just like disappear or put it off until I forget about it. So I've found it really hard getting readings. And I've had 2 recently by 2 different people who, you know, don't know each other. I think they kind of know each other now, but yeah, they both said like within sort of 4 days of each other, they basically gave me the same reading, almost word for word. And they said, you ain't been here before. You've never been on Earth before. You've come from somewhere else. So that's why I asked that question. So it'd be interesting to find out. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it was
that
interesting
is
that
really
I got,
interesting.
yeah, from 2 different people, so close and literally the same reading. It was just like, oh, okay, fair enough.
No wonder they dodged you.
Yeah, I know, right? I think people are like looking at me going, oh, hang on, there's no past here. What's going on? Getting away from this dude.
Yeah, how do you read that?
Exactly, right? So, yeah, I mean, so it's just because obviously there's all this talk about, you know, star seeds or, you know, whatever you want to call them, light workers, blah, 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 who, well, the narrative is, you know, a lot of people are incarnating now to, because obviously there's a lot going on. It's a big energy sort of shift, and a lot of people are down here to get work done, basically. So
yeah,
do you see or find in your work that there's like different type, how do I say it? Like different types of people? Like is there more like a population that have been here a long time and going through their lives, and then another one, the smaller, you know, population that have sort of just come in for this event?
Yeah, there do seem to be, you know, there is quite a distinction, and we can see it as well. Like in society as it is at the moment, you have a lot of people who believe the narrative, who don't even know there's anything going on. And then you have the other side of the coin where people are awake to what's going on. And a lot of people have come here to be part of the Great Awakening. You know, there is a lot of evidence about that too. Like when you look at the volume of spiritual material that is freely available now, that number has multiplied so much in the last 20 years since I've been following this scene. Like I woke up in about 1999 and I started getting into, you know, the simple stuff that everyone starts with, you know, well, what's meditation? What is this going within? I've heard of it, but it doesn't make any sense. What is all of this stuff, you know? And so then from there, you read a book, which leads you to another book. And I was fortunate. I had an uncle who was very well versed in all of this stuff. And he just basically handed me a book when I finished one and said, well, have a go at this. This might be interesting. And it really did help my journey. And the number of people who were on that journey back then compared to who is on that journey now is amazing. You know, there are so many people who actually are very aware of what's going on, that the Great Awakening really is coming together, and just in time.
Yep, just as it should. I mean, yeah, I was told this was coming when I was 14 or 15.
Wow.
Yeah, someone told me you're here to see a big thing, and they said that's why the population's growing so fast, is lots of souls want to be down here for this event. And I'm like, what event?
Yeah,
that was back in the 90s or something. God, but this is the thing, the waking up. I remember when like The Secret got released, and like what was the other one? Got it in front of me somewhere. Celestine Prophecy, and
yes,
with some of those books, you could literally see the book got released and the consciousness rose. It was just everywhere and everyone was talking about it. And I found The Secret really interesting because I remember, because I'd come onto the concept, you know, everything is your fault before that, and obviously The Secret, that, you know, there's been books written about that back in the 40s and 50s. It was really just a rewrite. But it was interesting because before that came out, you'd tell people, oh, you know, you cause your life, it's all your fault, good or bad, and they lose their crap. But then when that book came out, now you can say that to people and they go, oh, okay, I kind of, but so, I mean, it's been 20 years, I guess, but just that one little thing I've noticed is, you know, that, and what it really is you create your reality, right? Where suddenly people are waking up to it and going, oh, okay, it's because I keep doing the same stupid crap over that I keep getting the same stupid crap back to me. Is it? Oh, okay, that makes sense. So it definitely
really does. You know, it's like you've got to learn from your mistakes. If you're not prepared to do that, the same things are going to keep coming around until you do. And this is where, you know, coincidences that actually change the course of your life, are they really coincidences? It's like when you go with the flow and everything is falling into place, to me, they're like, that's the easiest way to navigate this minefield we're going through, you know?
Yeah, I agree.
So you can see, if you fight that and you do something you know in your heart that is not really in your best interests for moving forward, it's going to fall apart. And sometimes you really do land on your face. So just learning to watch for those signposts, you know, we are guided really when you think about the level of intuition that we have within us, apart from the fact that it's been suppressed our whole lifetime since childhood. But when we do listen to that intuition, we know that we have this guidance coming from within us that really has our best interests at heart and wants us to succeed every step of the way. So learning how to listen to that is a real benefit, you know?
Yeah, it's the little voice.
It's not easy though, is it?
Yeah, no, it's the big ego voice that the program loves to jump in on and trick you, right? The great trickster.
That's right.
I think just you got to take a bit of time, right? And like maybe not go with your first thought all the time and just go, oh, hang on, let's rethink that and get into that habit of, that's all it is. It's just a reaction that's been built up. And it's it holds people back so much, you know, people, you know, start meditating and go, I can do anything, I'm a manifester, and they start visualizing and they, oh, you know, wealth comes to me, oh, and then a bill comes in the mail and they're like, why does this always happen to me? And they've just undone all the work that they've done. And, you know, they just get pulled back into the 3D, which I think is a big thing. We really all need to start looking at, you know, it's like you said, are there any coincidences? I don't think so. I don't think coincidences exist. So judging things in the moment, you know, we don't know where it's going to lead. We never know that. And so judging it in that moment is cutting off, you know, whatever, all the learning we can get, anything else that the universe or God or whatever wants to send us. We're pretty much going, nah, we're going to judge that and stop it. So I find that's such a big thing for people is, you know, they all want to, you know, manifest and they want this thing, but they just keep getting pulled back to these, the program, right? The 3D program. And they
that's
go,
right.
Oh, crap, it's real, but it's not.
Yeah, exactly. And I had to come up with a solution for that because I found myself falling into that same trap so many times where my intuition would tell me something and my brain would go, oh, no, that's not right. And I'd trip up every time. And then eventually I said, look, this is happening so often that I am told the answer and then I go and do the opposite. And then obviously what happens is what I was told. What I did then is I said to myself, right, next time that happens, I am going to listen to what I was told. And then I am going to allow the mind and the ego to do what it normally does and tell me to do the opposite. And then I'm going to go, yeah, thanks for that input. I'm still going to do what I've been told, you know? And so I've allowed the ego to try and get in the way and stuff it all up. And it's like, okay, yep, we're doing it like I was told. And the amount of times that then I was able to get back on track, obviously it wasn't perfect. I did it right and I congratulated myself the next time I got tripped up again. But it's that practice.
It's a journey, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the gap, right? You got to get that gap.
I know.
Acting, right, between acting and reacting.
There's something about us that likes learning the hard way.
Yeah, I know. I know, right? God, I think that's what this place is. It's so annoying. But I mean, the other thing is, you know, no one said growth was easy, right? Like, like who's ever seen, you know, a birth where it's all, you know, quiet and lovely? Of course it's not. You know, it's a shock. And all growth is like that because it's change, and all it is a perspective that we view change as bad or struggle or oh my god. But maybe change is good, right? Especially if you're somewhere that you don't want to be. So it's
yeah.
So much of this is just program perspective, isn't it? That we've really just got to,
it is,
you know, give the boot to.
Yeah, like I look forward to change. You know, we've all grown up in the same system, the school system. You get out of that, you get some form of education, possibly. So, in my circumstances, after my formal education, you know, it was like I learned a trade, and as soon as I finished that, it was like, right, my life finally my own. What am I going to do? And basically, it was like, well, I want to go overseas. So it was just, see you later, bye, I'm going. And things just happen. You know, you get there and it's like, oh, look at all these opportunities. Well, I'm going to do that, and I'm going to do that, and I'm going to do that. And you go and do it, and one thing leads to the next. And there was no goal. There was no target. I wasn't going here to do anything or there to do anything. It was like, just felt like it at the time. And basically, whenever I've come to a crossroads, it's been the most exciting time of my life. And I've had a lot of them. You get there and it's like, right, something's got to happen. And I don't know what it is. And it's going to go one way or the other, you know. And you find yourself in some of the strangest places. Because, you know, I took off to Europe and it was like, well, okay, well, I'm here now. And then I was in London for a while and it was like, oh, yeah, this is great. The job contract ended. What next? Oh, I think I'll just go to Germany. So I bought a one-way ticket, landed there, wandered around, found accommodation for a night. The next day I had to look for something else. You know, it was like day to day. Things had to happen there and then on the spot. And so when there was no real goal in mind, things were allowed to flow. And obviously there has to be an outcome. I wasn't going to be sleeping on the street that. So something had to happen that day. And this is how everything has progressed coincidentally, you know?
Yeah. I mean, that's the other thing about judgment, right? When we judge, we cut off whatever could be better than what we're sort of judging. Just cut off all the universe giving us miracles and all that kind of stuff, really. And traveling is such a good thing, you know, because it puts you out there in that place where, you know, you're out of society pretty much. You're out of that structure, you know. You're not working in a 8-hour thing. You're not surrounded by the same people and the family and the TV and all that kind of crap. So, I mean, I think traveling's awesome, and definitely maybe in a month or two when they get rid of all this stupidity, we can all start traveling again. So yeah. So quantum healing technique is what you do a lot of, and is that joined up with the past life regression, or what is that exactly?
Yeah. So what it does is I call it basically a guided meditation. So through my experience, I've found that when you take someone through this guided meditation, you can relax them to a certain state of mind that we would normally access in the dream state. You know, like people can dream so vividly, and I've done it myself. Everyone's probably done it. You're dreaming so vividly that you actually think it's real. You think you're there, and then all of a sudden you wake up and it's like, oh, wow. I could have sworn that was all for real. And so this is the power of the mind, and this is the power that we can access through a guided meditation as well as through dreaming. And so using Dolores's technique, you can then guide that person gently back through into a past life, if you would like to go there. Usually it is termed, we want to go to the most appropriate time and place. Mostly it's a past life. Even if it's a past life that's not on this earth, you know, people have gone to past lives in different realms. So you can access parts of the mind where the information is that is relevant to where the person is at the moment. Now, this is where the first session is guided to go, so that you can get as much information through to help that person with whatever it is they're looking at the moment. Because before we even do a session, I'll chat with someone over the phone and explain how the technique works a week in advance. And I'll say, look, this is where we're going. This is how it works, so that basically when they show up, they know exactly what we're going to be doing, and they will have already prepared a list of questions for when we get to those points in the session where we can call upon the subconscious mind within and ask questions. So if someone's come along and they've got their questions written down, I can just read off those. And because I record the session on an audio device, I give them the session afterwards, and they can review that in a week's time or in a year's time. You know, they can go over whatever it is that may happen to pop up, and then sooner or later they'll be at a part of a stage of their lives where they're like, wow, we touched on that, what was it? And they go back and they have a look and they get more guidance.
So is this always done in person, like the way you do it, or do you do it online at all? A lot of people are doing stuff online now.
Yeah, so I have only ever done it in person. Dolores recommended not doing this over Skype or, you know, over the internet, just for the reason that, well, what if the internet drops out? How are you going to bring that person back round to?
Right. Good point.
That was her concern. A lot of people do actually do these sessions over Skype and are successful, obviously, because the internet connection didn't drop out.
Yeah.
So I haven't done it for that reason, because I don't want to leave someone in the lurch. You know, it probably won't drop out, but what if it does? Well, see, the thing is as well, this is why I liken it to a guided meditation. Even if I was guiding someone through a meditation and I just got up and walked out, that person would gently wake up back by themselves eventually, like we wake up in the morning. Yeah. So it's not like it's going to be a disaster.
Yeah.
But you haven't talked to them through that. You haven't given them the full care of the session, and you haven't brought them back through with the correct technique to bring them back into their body and feel realigned and, you know.
Yeah. Basically, yeah, you're going to leave it. Yeah, the work.
Now, it all depends. Yeah, you know. You're right. Yeah. So I like to finish up all of that as it is meant to be done, without having to worry about the internet dropping out.
Definitely. And of course, Dolores Canning, for anyone who doesn't know, was someone, she was a psychotherapist, is that correct? And she started regressing people, and they started talking about past lives randomly. And she started writing it all down, and she found that a lot of her work and a lot of the people she regressed pointed to this point in history. And this was sort of starting back in the 80s, wasn't it? And they were all talking about now. So have you got any info for us? What are your thoughts on all that? And have you what kind of messages are you getting? What's going to happen?
It is very interesting. And this is what got me into it in the first place, because I've always been looking for answers like this. You know, it's like, okay, well, using looking at Dolores's information and the vast wealth of knowledge that she has, her books do give a lot of clues. I was reading her books predominantly to understand her technique, but the places that she found people going and the experiences that they had were so interesting that I thought, well, you know what, I'm just going to use this technique and do something similar, you know, let's go exploring. And so the Convoluted Universe series that she has written, it's quite amazing. It visits all sorts of dimensions. It's a series, yeah, there's 5 books in that series, and they all are full of phenomenal stories, which past lives or parallel dimensions, all sorts of different things. They're very entertaining, you know, but theoretically they are people's past lives and experiences that they have personally had. And so she's also written a book about, you know, how all of this is starting to come together, how it's looking for humanity in the position that we're in, you know. We've all come here for a reason. We all have a purpose here. We're all evolving on this planet at the same time. The planet's consciousness and vibration is raising as well, which is then in turn affecting our level of consciousness. And this is also part of the Great Awakening. The people are awakening, the planet's awakening. Our purpose in life is starting to look like more than just having to go to work until we retire and then have a great time afterwards, you know?
I know, right?
It looks like we actually came here to do something.
There's actually more to it than just paying taxes. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, this is the thing. Everyone's, I think a lot of people are realizing that. A lot of people obviously aren't as well. What are your thoughts on this? I think it was Dolores who brought this up as well, you know, the split.
Yes, and that is interesting too, because you do see those who are awakening, those who are then really understanding that there is a purpose to being here, and they are thinking, right, well, if my purpose in life isn't just to survive, if there is actually more to this, and people are waking up spiritually, we all know there's more to this. And so when you start following the spiritual path, and then life is so much easier to navigate because everything you do is coming from the heart. It's directing you on the physical path as well as the spiritual and everything in between. So when we are now living our truth, because all we stand for is the truth, all we want is the truth, all we speak is the truth, nothing else but the truth resonates with anyone on the true spiritual path. And so this is where the divide is taking place. Those people who aren't interested in the spiritual aspects of life will eventually become interested, maybe not in this lifetime. You know, we are here in such great numbers now where it's not necessarily not necessary for everyone to be spiritually awake and aware to what's going on. We need the numbers physically on the streets as well to let these controllers know that we don't want to have anything to do with their plans. We want to live freely as humans, individually, and live our lives for ourselves and our families. That is a spiritual understanding that everyone has within, whether they are conscious of that or not, you know.
Great. It's so much easier to work in, you know, the energy realm than the physical realm. I think it can be pretty hard moving, you know, 3D objects around to try and get something, because when you're doing it, everyone else is moving their bits around as well, and it's just this random thing with no intention really. But you know, we all know, right, there's people who run around all day and they're stressed out and they work their 70-hour weeks and you know, they might be doing okay maybe, and then there's other people who seem to work 5 hours a week, love what they do, hang out, and money and everything they want just flows to them, and they're like, oh well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And this is where we're heading as well, you know. That is a big part of the plan. Just imagine how this world would be if everyone was doing what they loved. there would be no scarcity, which is manufactured anyway to keep us all doing jobs that we hate. But if everyone was doing something they loved, then there would be an abundance of everything.
I agree.
You know? And this is where we need to be heading. If people were able to survive financially so that then they could begin to follow their passions in life and be creative in their own way, there would be a method for all of these things to be give and take. And, you know, like if there needs to be money involved, things will have a value. If it's a bartering system, however it works, it's okay. It just needs to be coming from a place where scarcity is the thing.
I mean, it's just such a joke, right? Scarcity exists, yet water falls from the sky and food grows on trees. Like, come on, guys.
Yeah.
You serious?
Yeah.
I mean, I've been watching a couple of these bushcraft videos where they go out in the bush and they make like a house. Literally, they go out with an axe and everything that from the house is just from the bush. And it's like, it's all there.
That's great.
It's all there.
I know. Yeah.
But they teach us, no, you need debt. You need a death pledge for 30 years. And you know, you got to buy a big house to impress people. And it's got to be, where's it got to be? It's got to be close to your work so that you can get to work. And then you've got to buy a car so you can drive from your house to your work. And you spend the rest of your life working to pay off the house that's close to your work. It does not make any sense at all. It's a complete joke. So, oh my God.
Yeah, every aspect of life has been hijacked. So, and this is why they introduced supermarkets. You know, they didn't teach people how to grow their own food, because then they would have been able to be self-sufficient. Then you could just go and live anywhere, because like you said, rain falls from the sky. You can grow your own food. You can build your own house. There is no need to be within their system, and they can't have that.
No, because once we're out, they don't profit off us, you know, monetarily or energetically, you know, which is probably mostly their game. It's the energy they're after. So yeah, I think that, you know, we're 2 years into this, and that, you know, we've still got these people, you know, truthers passing around the story, the narrative constantly. Look at this. Look what they're doing now. Look what they're doing now. Oh my God, this is so. And really, all that does is put people's focus on the narrative, and it creates that. Like, this is the trick. So, you know, I've just said it so many times. Just stop passing all this crap around, guys. Like, all these stories. If by this point people don't understand, right? If they don't understand, then they're never going to. So you sending them another 10 stories is not going to help anything. If they don't, if they think the government are doing this to help us, it's a lost cause. Okay, we're 2 years into this. 2 years into our 2 weeks to flatten the curve. All right, and I mean that statement in itself should wake the whole world up. But we've really got to put our energy into where we want to go. And as long as we're reading the narrative, we're heading in. At the very least, we're splitting our energy, right? If we're saying, I want land and I want, you know, a commune and good people and grow food and that. Oh, but I can't travel. Oh, but I can't go shop. I mean, you've just killed your dream. You've killed all that energy you're putting in. You've just split it, and it's dissipated, right? And it's like I was saying before, that when we focus back on the 3D world, it just destroys everything you've created in the 5D world.
Yeah. Really, and like you said, there's so many people that, you know, if they haven't worked it out after 2 years, then will they have worked it out after 5?
Yeah, no.
You know, and imagine where we're going to be if this carries on for another 3 years. So really what you have to do is imagine where you want to be and start making that happen, you know. Living in that sort of community where everyone's looking after each other and you're growing your own food and everyone's got shelter and you don't need the system anymore. That's a step in the right direction. You know, we've got to get out of this system.
Exactly. And there's this big talk about, you know, this whole, a lot of people say, look, you should just sit down on a cushion and just imagine love and the whole world will change. and other people are saying, nah, stuff that, we need a bit of righteous anger. Where do you stand on that?
Well, everything is valid, you know. There are people at varying degrees of consciousness.
Yes.
So a certain level of consciousness is going to have a different solution. Yes. The ultimate solution is living in love. Love is the only vibration that is going to solve this problem. And this is where it's very interesting that the Great Awakening just happens to be taking place as the vibration of the planet is also increasing. There's no coincidence in all of that. And so if all of these vibrations are increasing, we are naturally heading there anyway. It doesn't matter how much these controllers are trying to hold us back with all of this fear and war and negative vibration, because we are still moving out of that. Yep. Regardless of how much they throw at us. They are slowing us down, but they will not stop this level of consciousness from increasing, because they can't. It's happening on a planetary scale.
Yeah, well, yeah. They
have tried, you know. They have all of their techniques with all of the conspiracies you can think of. Whichever rabbit hole you want to go down, this is part of their plan to control the planet, to keep it from raising its level of consciousness, which then keeps humanity enslaved.
Yeah, the rabbit holes, the rabbit holes.
The whole world is a rabbit hole.
The whole world is a rabbit hole, yeah. And you can go down what you want, but there's a lot of darkness down a lot of those rabbit holes. And this is the thing, if we're going down and focusing on that, you know, and a lot of people of the view, well, we need to know it all. We need to know all the information, or we just, you know, we're not going to be able to change it. I don't think we need to know all of it. I would say, you know, especially with what's going on now, all you need to know is people are dying. It's not what they tell us, and it's run by evil people. You don't need all the details. That's enough to go, you know, if you know that and you're still looking into it, like, oh, is this good? Well, you know, wake up. If that's all. So I think a lot of people just go down and focus on the negative and, oh my God, it's so bad. And like you say, that just holds the vibration down. And, you know, and this is what, you know, everyone's like, when's this going to change? When's everything going to happen? You know, when are we going to shake off this crap? And it's when everyone is ready to, isn't it? It's when everyone is at that point, and we've got enough people vibrating high enough, willing to stand up and say, no, we're going to do what we want. That's when it changes.
Yeah, for sure. And I think the rabbit holes are basically a tool to wake people up. Now, people obviously do get stuck in the rabbit holes, and they'll go down one after the other, and hopefully they're using that information to shock other people out of the slumber that they are in, so that they can also contribute to the Great Awakening. But you're right, there has to be a point where people go, okay, I get that. There's a lot of bad stuff going on. Who's doing it? Let's get rid of them.
Yeah, exactly. Solutions, right? I say, we know the problem. Now, how do we fix it? But so many people are like, I know the problem, and I'm sure there's more problems down there. I'm going to go look for them. It's like, just go and fix it.
You don't need to know.
You don't need to.
Let's just find out. Like, how does the world operate? You know, it's like if someone breaks into a house, they find that the police will go and try and arrest the person who did it. They don't go, oh well, what other problems can we find to back up that? You know, and
do you need a plumber, an electrician as well? Well, what else is wrong with this house?
Yeah, exactly. Like, okay, well, if this group of people have been perpetrating such violence on the people of this planet for so long, I think that's all we need to know, and we know who's done it.
Yep.
So why aren't they in jail? Oh, it's because it's the same people in the police system that are protecting them, keeping them out of jail, so that this whole thing can keep going around and around in circles forever.
Yep.
Okay, so how do we get in there and break this system apart and remove these people and deal with them appropriately.
Yep, I agree.
This is the next step.
Just got to focus on solutions, or else we're just, spinning our wheels, and most of the time when we spin our wheels, we're doing, less than that. We're helping the other side, right? Because this is the thing, when you're sitting on your ass and watching telly, you're not just not doing something, you're actually putting energy into what you don't want. So you double. It's double bad. It's not just, if you know what I mean, it's double fold, and people don't seem to. But same as when you choose the right thing, then you're putting energy and intention into something good. It's turbo, you get turbo to the good side.
Exactly.
So, yeah. All righty. Now you have a website, yeah? And is that correct?
Yeah, so we have a website because like I said earlier, through the past life regressions, or the QHHT technique, we managed to stumble across quite a wealth of information from another dimension that would benefit us spiritually. So we documented that. It took us like 15 months to do all of these sessions. It was 34 sessions. So each session ended up to be a chapter in the book. And so it was very random, like it wasn't like you could say, okay, right, we're going to do a session every week and we'll be finished when we finish. Sometimes it would be a week between sessions. Other times it would be 2, 3, 4. Even at one point there were 5 weeks between sessions. Life gets in the way. We're all living in the meantime. So we were quite happy with that. It happened when it happened. We knew when it was going to happen, and it was like, right, we can feel it. We're going to do a session this week. And okay, all right, let's do it. And so all of these sessions came together, and we self-published it in the beginning. And we had great reviews. Like whoever because we were just giving the books away, like we did have them for sale originally. We didn't have a website, but we had them for sale. A few people will buy them here or there. And I've deleted Facebook since, but all the reviews that we did get through Facebook, we have now on our website. So the reviews were great. People loved it. It's like a DIY for spirituality for the beginner, basically. And it does bring along a lot of topics as well for those who are quite into spirituality, that they'd also get something from it because they'd recognize it from a different angle. You understand the concepts, but you're seeing it from a different perspective. And so this consciousness that we stumbled across was from another dimension, and they were of a civilization that we would consider quite advanced spiritually, and also on the physical realm as well. Like they lived in harmony with their planet. They understood the importance of doing that, and they used spiritual truths as their foundation. And so here we are, we turn up talking to a 2-year-old girl, and she's sharing these spiritual truths with us like a master, and we were just blown away. We're getting taught by a 12-year-old girl.
Yeah. Right.
And so we found that phenomenal. It was amazing in itself. And obviously, as she's growing older, she's learning more as well, because she's growing up in this family where spirituality is everything. And it is the foundation to moving forward as a community. And so we're following her journey, learning these spiritual truths as she's learning them, because the way it worked in the regression as well is that Jolene would see things like she was living them firsthand. So it was like her going there and living this life for herself as this person. And this is where we got confused, thinking it was a past life. And then later on, we discovered, it was just the perspective that she had taken on that made it look that way. But actually, it was another level of consciousness that was able to show her everything as if she was seeing it through her own eyes, living it herself. And so all of this was being channeled through using the technique, and we followed her journey it turns out that there is a consistent underlying theme where their reality, as advanced as it is, was beginning to get infiltrated by the level of consciousness that has our planet under control. You know, so like on our planet, there is that power that has just engulfed everything, but it knows it is on its way out because it cannot survive in the level of vibration where this planet is heading. So it has to find somewhere else. Now, I'm not saying that that consciousness here is trying to get in over there, but something similar was. It was trying to infiltrate their realm. And so she was seeing it from that perspective, and they were only discovering it. Something's wrong here. What is it? And it was this level of consciousness trying to infiltrate a spiritually advanced civilization and their surrounding planets, because they were all communicating and traveling, and that they'd have their own council, you know, between their planets, and they discuss what was going on. And them being able to be in touch with Jolene and I and seeing things that are happening firsthand on our planet, she then got a vision of what is going to happen there on their planet if they do nothing.
Nothing, yeah.
You know?
Well, it sounds like
and
what
so
happened to us.
It was a mutual, yeah.
And I think we're a lot more advanced, you know, spiritually in every way when, you know, the Archon came in and it sort of, devolved us.
Yeah.
Yeah, wow.
It's from some of the information that we have managed to gather together about our past and how we have been infiltrated and genetically modified, and how we happen to be in the physical bodies we are now with our DNA and levels of consciousness. And, you know, our understanding is incomplete. We are getting more and more information all the time. We're seeing a lot of the old world technologies coming through, which are then going to shed more light on previous civilizations. And we're finding they were a lot more advanced than we are now.
Indeed,
and that's happened through suppression, you know.
And that again, it's all been hidden, you know. We're not allowed to know how great we were and what we, you know, the civilization we had. They love to destroy all that stuff. All right, so for another last question, you've mentioned planets a lot. What do you think the shape of the realm is? Do you think we're on a planet in space, or?
Yeah.
Because I'm so confused about this, because obviously, you know, in the 3D world, you look out and it's pretty much provably flat, but so many channels and, you know, all these people are talking about spaceships coming and about planets and about all this. So what's your perspective? I'm very confused.
Yeah, I'm confused too, but I like it. It means that there's more information coming out now that previously wasn't available, and it's starting to challenge those perspectives that we have believed our whole lives. And so the flat earth thing is something that's just popped up onto my radar recently, and I'm taking all of that in. I'm not going to dismiss things. I'm not going to make a decision either way. All I want is the information, and the truth is slowly coming out. And sooner or later, we're going to have a lot of truth. And then it'll be obvious what has happened. And so in the meantime, it doesn't really concern me whether it's flat or round, because we're going to find out. And regarding all of the UFOs and all of the planetaries and those types, you know, there's a lot of information as well that has been documented long ago about other races already living inside the planet. You've got Admiral Byrd, who has archives on what he saw. Other
There's lots for the north, Smoky God and all those kind of books, airships across the Arctic.
It's crazy, the amount of information out there that has been telling us all along that there are other civilizations, there are others living here already, there are others visiting here, there have always been visitors coming and going, and Dolores's work covers a lot of that as well. You know, she had some great stories within those Convoluted Universe series where we were talking with the Aboriginals in Central Australia and explaining the portals that they had there.
Ooh,
so
interesting.
It is.
Yeah,
it's fascinating.
I tend to look at it more like portals and different realms. As far as stars, right? Sirius could just be a different realm, and literally that's a stargate or a portal, and you go through that and you end up at a realm that is Sirius. I think that's a definite possibility. And also, the old maps, they all show that Admiral Byrd, that it's clearly more land, or there was more land just in where we are. So yeah. Is that what Mars is, right? Is Mars or the moon? Is that a piece of land that they go to and they're like, oh, well, we'll just tell them it's up in space, but we're actually going sideways?
Well, exactly. Like, who knows? That could very well be. And so with the portals question, we have actually been to a past life regression in ancient Egypt where the pyramids were used as portals to go to the Pleiades. And so when we sort of stumbled across that, like I'm asking questions, and it's like, okay, so you're doing this and you're doing that. And so what was this for? And what was that for? And what's this part of the pyramid here? No, that's just a portal. And it's like, what? Just a portal? Because they're living it in the time. They don't think this is going to be an extinct technology. And it's go, well, where does it go? Oh, our friends from the Pleiades come through there. And it's like, well, do you go up there too? Yeah. Can we go now? Yeah. Off we went.
Wow.
So
this is the thing, I mean, that word port, it's everywhere, isn't it? Ships in port, porthole, windows, portals, portholes, right? Yeah. Portals. Hello. It's the same word.
Yeah.
It's just, oh gosh. Wow. All right. So you've written a book, and this is all pretty much documented in your book, and your book's available on your website. Is that right?
It is. So Ozark Mountain Publishing actually decided they would like to publish it. I sent them a copy of the ebook not long after we wrote it, because we're using Dolores Cannon's method of QHHT. So I thought, well, Ozark Mountain Publishing would be the ideal place to send this to see if anyone's interested. And sure enough, they wrote back and said, yeah, well, we'd love to put this out for you. And so they have done. They've printed up copies. I actually got one out here so that I could show you.
Nice.
But they've published that for us, and it's on their website, and it's on our website, and it's on Amazon, it's on Barnes and Noble, and on our website as well. We have the other past life regressions and articles that we've done over the years. And
cool. So people can basically contact
I think their website,
past life regressions, if they're within your area, obviously, because you do them in person, don't you?
Yeah, well, I used to do a lot of past life regressions when I was living in the city, but now that we're outside of the city, it's
a bit harder.
It's going to be a little bit difficult for now. And we're just waiting for things to blow over a little.
Yep.
So, and then I'll probably start doing them again, But if people keep an eye on the website, which is jandjtierney.com, and Tierney is Tierney.
Yep. Cool.
So
we'll leave a link.
Keep an eye on the website. Yeah. Okay. Thanks for that. Yeah, that'd be great. So the book's on there to be found. There's links to Ozark Mountain Publishing. They have a phenomenal array of people in the truth community, spiritual community, UFO community. They do great things in their field.
All right,
so
good of them. I might be looking for a publisher soon. So I have to look them up.
Yeah.
Are they interested in history?
All you need to do, submit your stuff. You just send them an email, because the link's there on their site. They say that submit your stuff, we'll look at it, and if we're interested, we'll be in touch. They do say it may take us 6 months to get round to reading yours, because obviously there's a backlog. But they've got about, I think, maybe, I'm guessing now, it's got to be between 50 and 100 people on their books. Nice. So you got a good chance of getting on there.
Cool.
But they do have a lot of quality material. So have a look around if anyone's interested.
Ozark, O-Z-A-R-K, is it?
That's right.
Yep. Cool. Go check that out.
Ozark Mountain Publishing.
Mountain Publishing. Cool.
Yeah.
Might leave the link below too. Awesome. Wow. Well, that's very interesting. We're going about an hour now. So, very interesting stuff. And might have to get you back with Jolene and have a discussion of what she does and what she's found, maybe. Do you teach this stuff at all? Like, do you teach people how to regress people, or is that something you're not doing at the moment?
Well, when I did the course with Dolores Cannon back in 2011, they specifically said no one is allowed to teach this method as their own. Obviously, they've got a copyright on it, and at the time they were traveling around the world teaching this method themselves, so would be counterproductive.
Yeah, no, it's fair.
Especially because
it becomes like Chinese whispers, doesn't it? Someone teaches something out the next person, and then like 10 people down the line, it's got nothing at all to do with what Dolores was teaching.
That's right. And so the key there is, for me, like, if people who are practitioners who understand QHHT and have learnt that from Dolores, I have a whole toolbox worth of tips and tricks of how to get around these different problems that you come across during a session. Cool. It's not as straightforward as you think, and I can understand why Dolores didn't want just anyone teaching it, because at the time she was the only one teaching it. She taught in her class, and this was coming directly from someone who had been doing it already for like 30 something years.
Yeah.
So learning from that sort of perspective was so helpful, because there was always the support there that you needed, the answers that you needed, and you were given the course materials to help you really understand a session and pull it apart. And that was the first thing I did once I'd finished that course, is I went over all the materials painstakingly through the recordings, pulled it apart, worked out how she did it, how you actually access these levels of consciousness, how you actually get into, help guide people into the dream state of the subconscious, so that they can clearly access this and see it again as clearly as they did when they were living it. There's all sorts of techniques. So I can share information to practitioners about how I get the best out of a session, but I can't actually teach someone from scratch how to do it.
Yeah, fair enough. So basically, if any practitioners out there who need a few tips, you can contact for a chat as well. Excuse me. All right. So, thanks for that, Jason. That's been very interesting information. But like I said, I think you have to have a whisper to Jolene, and we might have to get you back for another chat, because what I'm finding is, it's like you said, so many people are looking for this information at the moment. Like, people are just like waking up going, oh, hang on, the unseen world is actually real. All these angels and guides and past lives and blah, 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 blah. It all has meaning, and it's all got some kind of reference point for us living in this time. So, I think we definitely should go down and explore that a bit more in the future too. So you'll have to.
That would be great, mate. I'd love to, and I'm sure Jolene would too, like to as well.
Yeah.
And so it's it's nice just having a random chat about anything and everything, because everything all leads back
all one
to
thing.
the same place, doesn't it? It's a conscious awakening why we're here, and we're getting it done.
We are big things going on. There's lots going on in the background in the wider world. So we're definitely getting through this. You know, I don't think we've got too much longer to go, but maybe we'll have to quiz Jolene about that one, hey? So see when this finally finishes.
I know.
It'd be nice to have an end date, but I don't think they exist. But yeah, so it's really up to us. You know, the more intention we put in, the more we go out there and ignore the narrative and then, you know, put intention, focus into what we want in the fast changes.
That's right. It's our future, and we want to create what we want.
Exactly. I agree. I'm over all that. What was it? Age of Pisces, was it? Or we just came out of something like that.
I'm not so good at that stuff. Like, yeah, you'd have to ask someone else.
Oh, who knows if it even exists? Gosh, now people are even questioning, you know, the precession of the equinox. Actually, so
when you think of it like that, and there's apparently 1,000 years taken off our calendar or added on or something or other, it's like, who knows where we're at now, really? Like,
yeah, unless that's the thing. I need to learn astrology. You'd need to be a good astrologer to know what's going on. And so,
yeah,
but even good astrologers, you know, they can't look over 24,000 years, can they? They can only see what's in the sky now.
Yeah,
that's the thing.
I know.
All righty. Well, thanks again for your time, Jason. Very, very interesting stuff. Like I said, we'll leave your links below if people want to check out your website and your book and all that kind of good stuff. And yeah, thanks for your time, and we'll hopefully have a chat in the future.
Thank you very much too. Thanks for having me on, and it's been great chatting, and I look forward to it again.
Awesome. Well, thanks a lot. All righty, guys, and
See you, mate.
We'll talk to you all on the next upload. Bye for now.